What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Sunday night's late night agenda. I hope that you've all had a wonderful weekend. Lots of sport for us to enjoy. I'm sure you were up late last night watching the UFC. I was watching the boxing myself, and of course plenty of Olympic action on as well. We're here to talk about the Reds though, so let's get stuck into it tonight. I've already seen the moaning started in the comments, and please, for the love of God, just give me a minute to get into the stream. Somebody say actual targets are just more links. You do realise they're one and the same, mate, right? You know, I know you're just moaning, but what would you like me to do? For all the people who say I'm not Richard Hughes. I don't get to go in and tell people and pick who we're signing. I can only report to you what's being reported, and these players that we've put in tonight's thumbnail are the ones that we think are certainly likely based off what we're seeing and hearing. But again, mate, if you don't want to be here and you want to moan, nobody's forced you to be here. So that's aimed at you, Mr. Madeni. If you don't want to be here, bro, or you're not happy with the titles, off you pop. I will not be missing you one bit. My job is to relay the news and to talk. That's all it's about. I'm not your ITK. I'm not your source. I'm your friend. I'm the one that comes in to have a chat. So, how we all doing? Loads to get through tonight. We're going to be talking about, of course, Anthony Gordon. I know, and I read the comments, and I'm not trying to convince you that he's the greatest player that ever played football or that he is the best option for Liverpool. But I can tell you, it's a real target. He's a real player that we're interested in. He wants to move, and like I've said for weeks now, it isn't going away. I would agree with a lot of you. I wouldn't be putting him at the top of my list of transfer targets, but I can only report what's there. We're going to talk about Ben Doak and a possible loan move for him, which, you know, would genuinely surprise me, but it's gathering a little bit of pace. We're going to be speaking about Trent and the latest at Real Madrid's pursuit of him. Some changes and some notes about where Dominic Szoboszlai and others are going to be playing. Sepp Vandenberg comments a little bit on Victor Gyökeres, who looks like he's attracting interest from a couple of Premier League clubs. And then a few other bits and pieces around Pedro Neto, and a couple of things around Kubo and anything else, of course, that you guys want to go through. So, let's just say Celtic have won pre-season. Can we all agree on that one? Like, I don't watch Scottish football, but they seem to be beating everyone. Again, I think they've beaten Manchester City. Won again. Fair play to them. You know, they've had a good pre-season under Brendan Rodgers. And certainly Matt O'Reilly has done any potential move for him away from Celtic no harm whatsoever, whether that's linked to Liverpool, Atalanta, Juventus or anybody else. He looks like he's having a very, very good pre-season. Dreg Dillon said, I think Gordon would fit in well at Liverpool and would give all he's got for the shirt, although not the most flashy of signings, a pretty solid one. Well, it isn't done yet. Imagine coming in to go, what an idiot, I'm unfollowed this channel, and not actually be able to grammatically write a sentence. The words you're looking for is, I'm going to unfollow this channel, what an idiot. But that's okay. You've already shown us which one is the idiot, mate. Me, the one who can actually come out with a, you know, legible sentence, or yourself, the little bitch who comes in, I got to unscribe, unscribe channel, mad. Dude, come on. We're not going to be those guys today. We're going to have fun and we're going to enjoy ourselves. I don't want to come on here and start having a pop of idiots, mate, so don't make me do it. Please, for the love of God, don't make me do it. I'm in good mood today. I heard that Liverpool are going to swap a player for Gordon. You know when you say you heard, you do realise, like, that most of the time when you say you've heard, it's me. You know, the whole story around Gordon and players and all this other stuff. Yeah, I've been reporting this for days. So you don't get to come in and go, Craig, I've heard Liverpool are offering Gordon and a player. I've told you that for ages, bro. You know? So I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't even have a clue on what potential players. Myself and Connor were racking our brains earlier on trying to figure out if it is a player or plus cash deal, what players could it be from Liverpool? Because I don't really know. We tried to work through a list earlier on, but not 100% certain on it. Oh, that reminds me, I'm supposed to bring up something else actually, Eddie. Sorry, mate. Bear with me 1 second. Because Craig's forgetting to do something. I'm forgetting to log into the system to bring up the super chats. I just reminded myself there after I seen the first one on screen. So apologies, bro. Give me 2 seconds and I will hopefully get that super chat up on screen for you. 2 minutes, mate. Where is there? That's the one. Let me just copy this. Copy. Cool. Sorry, mate. This is on me, by the way, not on you. I just have to go to a different website to do this. 1 second. Right. I think I'm nearly in. I'm getting there. It's not displaying it for me yet. I don't know if I've missed something here. Yeah, I think I've missed something because for some reason I can't see the super chats to bring them up. Sorry, mate. I'm working this the back end and this is not doing what it's supposed to do. 1 sec. Let me switch that on. Now maybe it'll do it. 1 second. I'm hoping it works now. If not, Connor's going to be getting a little... Oh, there we go. I've got it. Look at me heroically figuring it out all on my own. Bless the idiot. Bless the idiot. Right, there we go. It's coming up on screen now. I got you. I got you, mate. And again, sorry about my fumbling around. People forget we need homegrown players, said Eddie Cox Wilkins. It's not just that we need them. Sometimes it's just the right option. But we do have 3 non-homegrown spots that we can fill up. Let me just go through these comments that I'm catching up on before I forget. And there's another one coming up. 39 months on the best channel, WFM, Craig. Keep an eye out for a young lad by the name of Lennon Miller from Motherwell. He's starting in our main team. Thank you. Appreciate that, my friend. I will try to remember the name, but I am awful at these type of things. So, and one last super chat that I've got to bring up before we move onward, so bear with me 2 seconds and this one comes up. I really don't like United doing deals like how do you pronounce his name? Matsuru? We're letting them catch up with our squad quality unnecessarily. Waiting to August is stupid. Look, I feel like I can rant tonight with some peace of mind because, yeah, you're right, mate. It is getting a little bit ridiculous this wait. And we do need to get signings done and in now. So United going out there and bringing in the likes of whether it is him, Matsuru, excuse my pronunciation of that one, or Dumfries. They are being linked with right backs. And for us, well, we're just sitting around, aren't we, at the minute, not really doing anything. I mean, August is nearly here. We're a few days away from August and still nothing happening. Another super chat to bring up. Thank you, Finley Years Guitar. Always a pleasure to see you win, sir. And I hope Storm is doing well for you, see. I remember the name of your single. So, good evening, Craig. How's life treating you on this fine day? The other night really made me appreciate how great of a community we've built. You'll never walk alone. And much love. Thank you. Look, I've said it before, bro, and I will say it again. We're all blessed. We've got a great community of people here, and we appreciate your support of us, so we're always trying to make sure we echo that right back to you, my friend. Right, so, Danny from Leeds. Danny, how are you, bro? Welcome in. Lovely to see you, and welcome into the community. I've got some big news, actually. You may have seen it on our socials, but if you haven't already got your tickets to the Anfield Agenda live show in Liverpool, well, here's another reason. We have just confirmed David Lynch on our panel for the evening as well. So if you come along to our show in Liverpool, tickets available with the link at the top of the chat, you will get to see a stand-up performance from Mr. Carl Porter. You'll get to see this bald, angry idiot on stage, and you'll also get to see David Lynch come and join me on stage as part of a panel process where we will be doing Q&As with you guys from the audience as well. And all for the low price of just £15 per ticket. It's just a week away. It's a week away from right now, and genuinely tickets are absolutely flying. We've almost sold out the bigger theatre. So if you want to come along, you know what to do. Get your tickets with the link at the top of the chat. In Cardiff, we're going to see you guys on Friday as well with a great show planned for you guys. Right, I'm delighted. We put the call out to Mr. Lynch and he was available, so we made it happen, and I'm delighted. Looking forward to catching up with David again at the show, and of course you guys there will get to give a live Q&A. On top of that, I noticed something actually for the venue that I thought I'd let you know just in case you didn't. So we're going to finish our show at about 9:30 or so that night. Then, because the younger people have to be out of the venue, the under 18s by 10 p.m, so we're going to do our meet and greet. But there's a live roast on that night in the comedy club that's free. It's a free show. It is on that night. It starts at 9:30. So if you're coming to see us you could maybe get a little double one there. You could squeeze yourself in a little comedy show as well, completely free of charge. Do check out the Hot Water Comedy Club for all those links and stuff. Right, so what do we want to talk about first tonight? You tell me what topic you want me to go with. Trent, Ederson, Gordon. Tell me which one you want to go with, and we're happy to go. Am I related to Arne Slot? Yeah, I'm his slightly, well, ever so fatter cousin. Okay, lots of different things. I'm going to go with Bremer, because that's the first one I'd seen. So, there seems to be a lot of column inches now starting to be written about Liverpool's interest, or proposed interest, in Juventus centre-back Gleison Bremer. You remember this guy from when he was at Torino, probably, and Liverpool were linked with a move for him. Since he's gone over to Juventus, he looks like he's surplus to requirements. Juventus are looking at many options at the minute at centre-back to bring in, and it looks like 50 million quid could be one that would see a deal done. Now, I don't know if we're really strongly in, but again, I'm seeing a lot of publications writing about him as somebody to maybe keep an eye on. I don't know who we're on for centre-back. I don't. I'm going to be open, honest, and tell you, I don't have a clue who it is. I would have guessed Mark A until I spoke with David Lynch, and he actually convinced me that Mark A wouldn't be the right option. So Bremer is the latest one that I'm seeing doing the rounds. £50 million is what Juventus are asking for. 25 years of age, if my memory is correct. Brazil international. I don't know much after that, folks. I don't know if he's going to be good enough or he isn't going to be good enough. I'm going to have to ask you guys for your thoughts on Gleison Bremer. Is he somebody that you'd be excited about? Somebody you think is good enough to come into Liverpool? And would you be happy at the 50 million quid? Joe McDougall said, you'll be in my backyard for the Liverpool show, but sadly I'm working, so get yourself a Ribena on me. Let me just bring that one up on screen for you, mate. Thank you. I'm going to slightly twist your Ribena into a Diet Coke, if that's okay. You know, I might even go mad, mate, and have a couple of bottles of Corona on the night because, you know, the wife can drive, so I might even have a couple of bottles of beer and treat myself while in the fine city of Liverpool. Thank you, Joe. It's a shame you can't be there, mate, but appreciate your support nonetheless. And if you weren't working, we would have loved to have seen you there. Right, so people asking there about Dani Olmo as well. But before we do, I want to just go through. Brazil, good, said, mate, you're right. He's 27. Bremer, is he? Wow. I thought he was 25. Let me just check my notes. 1 second. And freedom. 1 sec. I'm just checking my own notes here. Sorry. Okay. Yep. If he's 27, I can't see why we sign him. I'll be too old, in all honesty. But he's the only one that I've just... he's the only one that I've seen mentioned at centre-back other than Mark A, who seemingly has been ruled out by a lot. So he's a recent 27. I don't know. I guess technically 27's right in his prime as a centre-back, but it doesn't strike me as a type of Michael Edwards signing, you know, one that would add value. So maybe not on that one. So I want to talk about Dani Olmo for a minute, because a lot of you guys in the chat have been mentioning Dani Olmo, and thank you for checking in on the Bremer stuff for me. Amazing, as always. Thank you for that. Where was I going? Olmo. So a lot of people are suggesting that Liverpool should go after Dani Olmo. The problem is, and I've said this on a few occasions, we already have Dani Olmo. As in, we have Dominic Szoboszlai, who played the very same position at Leipzig before Olmo came and replaced Dominic Szoboszlai in the same position. And also, another thing to note with regard to Liverpool's pre-season tour, and credit Lewis Steele for this, so Dominic Szoboszlai has been playing out on the wing in training. Slot has been trying Szoboszlai in that position. Keep an eye on that one. I mean, is he going to look at Szoboszlai to be a right winger? We did see in the game the other night against Real Betis a really good relationship down that right-hand side between Mohamed Salah, Dominic Szoboszlai and Conor Bradley. So maybe that's the way that Arne Slot's going to utilise him. Maybe he sees him as a second number 10. Maybe he sees him as a winger, or maybe an inverted or inside winger is what I'd call it. Not inverted, inside winger. Let me just grab this one up. Cool. Craig, been watching your videos since Liverpool played my team Shrewsbury. Really good stuff, pal. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Do you know what? It's honestly a pleasure when we get opposition fans like yourself who come in and continue to watch the channel, support the channel. Thank you, mate. As same with our Leeds friend earlier on as well. Dominic will cook regardless, said Callum. Thuram signed with Juve. Yeah, we did think that was going to happen, to be fair. Juve are rebuilding their midfield this summer. Douglas Luiz, obviously, Kefren Thuram, and the crown jewel for them would be Coop Miners, who was the other option they're looking at to rebuild that Juventus midfield. Billy said Szoboszlai looks amazing. I thought he looked decent the other night, absolutely. As I said, football's about relationships, and the relationships on that right-hand side to me looked really good. Couldn't really say the same about the left-hand side, in all honesty. I didn't think Harvey Elliott got involved in the game enough the other night. Would have liked to have seen him a little bit more involved, and then he did miss a sitter of a header as well. But yeah, good relationships on the right. So if that's what Slot's working with, I can certainly see that relationship blossoming between Mohamed Salah and Dominic Szoboszlai. Endo bid was 11.8 million. I've lost. I'm gone on this one. What bid? What bid? What? What's this? Sorry. Just checking on something that was sent to me here. Wow. Okay. So, James Pearce, credit Anfield Sector, who I'm reading it from, and also credit Mark, our chief moderator. Liverpool rejected a 14 million euro bid from Marseille for Arturo Endo. Look, if James Pearce says it, you can take that to the bank. That's a fact. And again, thank you to Mark for sending me on that. But yes, Liverpool reject the bid. I wonder did James Pearce give any more information on that? Is he rejecting from the point of view? I'm going to send Connor a voice now here. 1 second. Don't know if you've seen this, Connor, but apparently James Pearce just tweeted to say Liverpool rejected a 14 million euro offer for Arturo Endo. Do you reckon that there's a number there then? Like, if Marseille are bidding, clubs don't usually bid for a player unless there's been some level of communication. So, certainly I would have expected at least Endo's camp to have been tapped up, if for want of a better phrase. Interesting. Craig, I always agree with you about FSG, plus you should be knighted. Well, respectfully, I would turn down a knighthood. Obviously, I am Irish. But thank you. I really appreciate your support. And look, I take no pleasure in the FSG rants. I wish I didn't have to say it, but you know where I sit on it. I think they're cheap. I'm just getting more information here on this Endo stuff sent to me as we are live. So, again, this coming from The Athletic, say Liverpool aren't actively looking to move Arturo Endo on. The timing of the bid from Marseille, the lack of market opportunities available in terms of recruiting a replacement, and the current needs of Arne Slot's squad contributed to the offer being turned down. There's a worrying line in that there for me, ladies and gentlemen. The lack of market opportunities available in terms of recruiting a replacement. That line is what stands out to me from that comment. David Lynch, also friend of the channel, confirming Liverpool have turned down a 14 million euro bid from Marseille for Arturo Endo. A number of German clubs are also interested, and a higher offer could tempt the Reds to sell. There you go. So, difference there from David Lynch and obviously from the boys at The Athletic. Both of them obviously saying Liverpool have turned down a 14 million euro offer for Arturo Endo, but David Lynch going as far as to say potentially a higher offer could tempt Liverpool to sell. This tells you one thing, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not a signing that would have been made under Michael Edwards' tenure last season. And we did speak about that as one interesting factor from last summer's window. Would he have, made some of these signings? And the answer has always been probably not. But let's wait and see what happens on Endo. I mean, I'm going to put a poll up in the chat. So bear with me. I'm going to get a poll going. I'm going to ask you what price for Endo, or is there no price? So 1 second. Just adding in a few more options here for you. And now remember, be realistic about these, because people often like to throw in crazy numbers. And one more option, then we can put that live. Right, what price for Endo? 15 million, 17 million, 20 million, or no sell, or no sale. They're the options for you in the poll. I'll leave that up there for you guys to vote on. So you've got 15 million, 17 million, 20 million, or no sale. Remember, we've just turned down 12 or so million, so I would imagine Liverpool are expecting or wanting numbers higher than that. We only have one defensive mid, said the hopeful Star Wars guy. No signings, no chance at the league for us, said Brett Young. 30 mil we don't need to sell, said Andre Nilsson. I think we need a DM like Rodri. Oh, I mean, I don't think any of us would disagree with you there. He's probably the best in the world in that position at the moment. Is there any news with Rodrigo? Nothing Liverpool related anyway, Georgie, that I'm aware of. God, I wish there was, bro. I wish there was, but no, nothing Liverpool related there. What's your opinion on Trainioni on Friday night? I'm guessing it's probably the same as yours. He was brilliant. I mean, to come on into the game after half an hour, obviously Curtis Jones picked up that hamstring niggle. I thought Trainioni was the standout player. Himself, Connor Bradley, both of them looked brilliant to me. But for a young man who just turned 17 in Trainioni, he does need to work on his upper body strength, fill out naturally as a growing young man as well. But you can see why we worked so hard to get him from Leicester. The dude's a baller, and it's going to be interesting to see what the club plan to do with him. I think he's still too young to send out on a loan, so I'd probably keep him around in the academy structure for one more season. Maybe give him a couple of first team sniffs, maybe the likes of the League Cup, something like that. But what a talent. What a talent. Any news on Kubo? Yes, there is. It's not happening. I'm sorry I don't have better news on that one, but there's been various sources against the idea of the Kubo deal. Any journalist I've spoken to, including, of course, David Lynch, doesn't really think there's much to it. The Sociedad president has come out and said Endo's going to... Not Endo, God, excuse me. That they're going to keep... who are we talking about again? I'm getting confused with Endo here. Kubo. They're going to keep Kubo. They do plan to do some business this summer, but Kubo isn't one of the ones they're looking to move on. We know he has a release clause, so I guess if somebody really wants him, they can activate that, and there's not much that Sociedad could do about it, but I would say no for him. I can just repeat to you what I'm going to repeat to you over and over again is the name is Anthony Gordon. It's just a matter of if we get it done in this window or if we wait to the future. And honestly, I don't know the answer to it, but I know you all get disappointed in me when I keep reminding you of Anthony Gordon. But, you know, regular viewers of the channel will know I've been bringing up the Anthony Gordon stuff since even before these offers came in. I've been telling you about Anthony Gordon before Newcastle offered him to us. I've been telling you that Liverpool are interested. I know it isn't the sexiest name, but I have been right on it, and I do think that there's still legs left in this one. If Liverpool need to sell a midfielder, sell Curtis Jones. I would absolutely take that, Stevie boy. Look, I know people want to give Curtis Jones his flowers, but I just don't see much positivity there. He's already in pre-season and he has a niggle of a hamstring. This is allowing for the best version of Curtis Jones. If we get the best version of Curtis Jones, then there's a player there. But between injuries and inconsistency, and he takes too much out of the ball, I just don't see him being that guy. And yeah, I can only be honest with you. So for me, yes, an offer for Curtis Jones I'd take, but I don't think the club would. Anthony Gordon sounds quite sexy to me, said Tobias Bakke. I think it would be an astute piece of business. But here's an interesting one, right? A lot of the stuff that I've seen around Anthony Gordon has said that there's still some talk of a player plus cash deal. I actually have a few notes on Anthony Gordon tonight that I wanted to just run through with you guys real quickly. So the Sunday World are the ones that have suggested that Liverpool will offer cash plus a player or a player or two towards Newcastle attempt. And they say Liverpool could soon be offering players in exchange for Anthony Gordon. It has been claimed. The Reds were unable to agree a deal for Gordon at the end of June despite the Magpies' attempts to cash in on the England international amid their financial difficulties. Whether or not Liverpool look to resurrect the deal for the ex-Everton man remains to be seen, and the Sunday World said that Liverpool are weighing up an offer that could include players moving from Anfield to St James's Park. So as I said, me and Connor thought about this earlier on. Gomez, maybe, as somebody Newcastle could be interested in, but again, I don't see Liverpool wanting to move on another defender, especially one as versatile as Gomez. The best I could come up with after that was maybe a loan move for Bobby Clark up there for the season. Tyler Morton, perhaps, to go on loan there. There's not really many permanents that I could think of that would work for Newcastle. Carvalho could be one. There could be one there. Carvalho could be interesting to them, but I think Arne Slot probably likes the look of Fabio Carvalho. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to figure out, but one thing I will say and repeat is that don't be surprised whatsoever if you see more and more stories and more links to Liverpool and Anthony Gordon, because they're sincere, they're genuine, and if a number can be agreed, I think he's a Liverpool player. So, Fabrizio Romano has said, Liverpool rejected an approach from Marseille for Endo before they signed Kone and Højbjerg. So talks around €40 million, as James Pearce reports, but already collapsed weeks ago. Marseille are focused on other signings and other positions. Interesting. So it was a good while ago that offer came in and was rejected. They've since signed other players, but David Lynch said that interest from Germany still remains, so maybe we do see somebody come back in with an offer for Wataru Endo. Carl said, Craig, what is happening with Trent? I believe he's going to sign the new contract, and everything I read, whether it be, like I got a comment here from Robbie Fowler that I wanted to read out around Trent. So, Liverpool legend Robbie Fowler does not believe Trent Alexander-Arnold will be leaving the club this summer. This piece from the Echo, but they're crediting the Mirror for the column. He said in his column, I know Liverpool want to keep him, and I've heard nothing to suggest he doesn't want to continue his love affair with the club as he enters the final year of his contract. So Robbie Fowler feels confident that Liverpool want to keep Trent and Trent wants to stay. We've heard murmurings of a 300 grand a week deal, but it doesn't help when you see pictures of him and Jude Bellingham on roller coasters, or when you see accounts posting that in LA nightclub there was Bellingham, Trent, Mbappe, Tchouameni. I mean, it's not going to help, is it? When we see, him on holidays with Bellingham and some Real Madrid players, that definitely doesn't make you feel more calm about the situation anyway. But I think he signs a new deal. They wanted Kwanzaa, so I think a nice opportunity to give them Vandenberg. Yeah, maybe. I mean, actually, I have a little bit here on Sepp Vandenberg, and I'm going to give the young man his credit. So we know what Sepp Vandenberg said previously, and I've called him out on it. But I have to say, ever since then, I've liked what I've heard from Sepp Vandenberg. So this is what he had to say. I'm here to show the new manager that I am Liverpool worthy. If he gives me a chance and likes me, there's a big chance of me staying. But we're still early in the window, so we'll wait to see what happens. I mean, we're not early in the window, Mr. Vandenberg. Stop it. Us Liverpool fans are tortured, bro. We are not early in the window. We're already about a month away from it closing, and yet Liverpool still haven't made a signing. But other than that, I'm like what I'm hearing. James Pearce also said it's important to stress that the young Dutch defender is not desperate to get away. 22 years of age, just wants to avoid a scenario where he stays put and finds himself a long way down the pecking order and starved of game time. I can understand that. I think most Liverpool fans can understand that. It's a lot more palatable than the previous words from him. So look, let's see what happens with Trent Vandenberg. If I'm being really honest, my perception of what I seen the other night was some panicky moments between himself and Kwanzaa in the back line. So I'm not trying to point fingers and say it was one more than the other, but it didn't exactly strike me like we were calm and composed back there. But that being said, we also only conceded one real serious effort on goal, and that was in the second half when we had Yaros in goal, and he made a very good save. Toby Rose said, Craig, as much as I love Klopp, he's a legend. I feel Slot will do to this team with good possession and keeping the ball. It's more modern football. I've got a lovely quote for you that I think you're going to love, because I know when I heard it, I was pretty happy, to say the least. Let me just get the quotes for you, and then we'll go and talk about that. Where was it? So Lewis Steele put out a comment. He was watching Liverpool training, and he was saying that Arne Slot kept shouting out, patience, 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 kill them with passes. Yes, please, Arne. And that was noticeable. The other night in the game, we did keep the ball for longer periods. And I like what he's saying there. Be patient, wait for the right opportunities. Don't be afraid to move the ball left, right, through the lines. Be patient, drag them out of shape, tire them down, and eventually the opportunities will present themselves. Then it's all about execution. It's about making sure that you do those right things when those moments present themselves. And I like it. We all know, any of us who've played football know it's much easier when you've got possession of the ball. It's much less mentally and physically tiring. When you're chasing around the ball, or when you're trying to press and close teams down in a dominating possession like City do, sometimes it can be death like from 1,000 cuts. And that's the kind of way he's looking to set us up in possession to go through those lines, rather than Jurgen, who was at times more direct in the style of play. Not to say one's right, one's wrong, but these are just some of the little differences we're seeing. Mahmood, let me just bring your super chat up on screen, my friend. Right, so I wouldn't sell Endo because we have no other senior DM. Shouldn't have waited this long. We will be desperate for a DM if we sell clubs up their price. I can't push back on what you said there at all, mate. I can't. It's all sensible stuff. You know, you're right. We are already in a position where we're not exactly swimming in defensive midfielders, and if we go and sell one before buying another one, you're absolutely spot on. Prices are going to go up. But I'd also say, Mahmood, that prices are probably going to go up now anyway, mate. Like this gamble of waiting till August, if it comes off, great. But we all know it is not going to be plain sailing right now. Trying to make sure that we get the 3 players we need in and not overpay. What we can't accept, and I don't think any of you will accept, is the idea of an excuse. So, oh, we tried, but, you know, the prices weren't there. Or we tried, but there wasn't players available. We can't hear that. We can't accept that this summer. We've been, well, I haven't been particularly patient, but you guys have certainly been patient. Liverpool fans in general have been patient. But we need to get cracking. Or as we say on this channel, we need to get crack-a-lacking. And, yeah, I'm getting nervy now because it's pretty much August, you know. Thursday is the first day of August, and then we're into the last month of a window that will have been open for 6 to 7 weeks already. What's this one that Connor sent me? Yeah, he's just sent me the same thing from Fabrizio Romano. Let me just get David Massett super chat up. David, how are you, bro? Always lovely to see you in. So, David, I think, said, I'm a Scouser and I'm getting fed up with all this stuff about Trent. If he wants to go, good luck. No player is bigger than Liverpool. I think we need to be careful on that front, David, because we've never heard from Trent that he wants to move. Never even heard any indication that he might like to move, other than some journalists who, I don't know what side their bread's buttered on, you know. So we got to be fair to Trent on that one. He's never indicated he wants to move away, but, you know, we've also never really heard an indication that there's a contract close up until this week. So I'm with you on that, but I would just say, you know, Trent hasn't nailed his colours to the mast here and said he wants out. Craig, you're my favourite YouTuber. You'll never walk alone. Thank you so much. YXNGS1 or Youngs1. Mate, you're really kind. Thank you. Your support and all of you guys has been absolutely phenomenal. Channel's flying. You know, going from strength to strength. Pre-season game the other night and we got 100,000 views for the watch along because of your amazing support. And that was going as late as 2:30 in the morning. So thank you for your support of our channel and our community. Right, I've got loads of news that I need to keep going through, but the super chats are flying in, so I've got to keep going. Jake, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Let me just get that up on screen for you, and then we will read through it. How is it that every club is struggling with FFP, yet time and time again we're told that Liverpool are in a good place and we don't spend? Do you want the politically correct answer, or do you want the truth? So there's two parts to this. The first part you've said is every other club struggling with FFP and are still doing business. There are some clubs that even confuses the hell out of me. So the likes of Chelsea. I mean, honestly, I think Todd Bowley has a problem with spending money. He is constantly signing players. Every feckin' week. Another one, another 20 million, another 25 million, another 18 million. And then there's talk of ripping up Sarr's 100 grand a week contract and just paying that out. They're still paying Pochettino for another year. I don't know how they get away with it. And we were all told when Bowley went on his big first £1 billion spending spree that if Chelsea didn't get Champions League football, they were in a whole world of trouble. They haven't gotten Champions League football. They've gotten Europa Conference League football, and that bastard is still out there spending money. Is mad. I don't get it. I don't know. The second part of your question was about us. The truth of the matter is this, mate. The owners are fucking cheap. They're cheap. They just are cheap. And there will be excuses. Even with this window now, the faith of getting all the three positions filled, I don't know about that at this point. I feel like we get painted the picture. Some people add their little dots and colours to it in the media. Then, when it comes time to the stuff we were promised or the stuff that was alluded to, all of a sudden there's some memory loss or there's an excuse. There's always an excuse and a promise of a brighter future. And that can't be acceptable this summer. You can't tell everyone that August is going to be the month unless August is the month. So let's wait and see what happens. But there was that line that I read out earlier on about Liverpool not seeing other options in the market, so they didn't sell Endo. That worries me, because that means we're still at a point where we haven't made a decision on a target. So we've seen João Neves. He's very close to moving to Paris Saint-Germain. That's going to happen. On top of that, Ederson, the player who I want, the player who I think makes sense, in all brackets, price point, age, experience, still sitting there. No offers gone in yet from Liverpool that we're aware of on that front. And now we're starting to hear the murmurings about maybe there isn't a central defensive midfielder in the world that works for us, or is good enough for us, or is an improvement on the squad. I'm going to take you all the way back to maybe a month ago when I read a piece out from the Echo, and it said Liverpool have now entered the third year of their search for a specialist defensive midfielder. The third year. So there is no excuses that are going to cut the mustard, I'm afraid. So we got to get that done. Okay, another super chat to get through here from Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan said, "With we signed no one. I'm done with FSG. They're a joke." I've nothing to add, mate. I don't disagree with you. When it comes to transfers, they're cheap. I don't know how people can still defend them on that front. You know, I'm not an FSGO person. Actually, I'm just not an FSGO person, in all honesty. I'm an FSG, do your damn job person. But I will credit them, like I've always said, for the good stuff. But this is the window. Like, if you don't back the new manager, there's no more hiding. There's no more excuse making. I don't know how anybody can still be behind these. What I've noticed is a real big difference between American football fans and European football fans, in that I believe culturally in American sports, the idea of money, numbers, wage cap, structures, doing the right things financially, it's far more prevalent because of those wage caps. And because, I often read through the NFL stuff on The Athletic, and then I go down and I read through the comments. And people are always talking about wage caps and salaries and guaranteed money and stuff that doesn't really apply in Europe. Which is why I don't like when they start praising the owners for being sensible. Because of that reason. If you want to praise FSG for the main stand, the AXA training facility, Jurgen Klopp, different conversation. But to still be banging this drum about they saved us and, they put us in a good, healthy position, I'm always going to push back on that. Because I don't believe they have. Quite simply, I believe that they've benefited from some good decision making. They've benefited from football's growth. And they've seen a bargain in Liverpool, one that they knew they could wake up because of their expertise in certain areas. And they've done a good job on that front. But it comes back to the same thing. That desire to win. Not to be there or thereabouts. To win. To do everything to win. Anything you can do. Every penny. Give it to the manager. Let him go and do his thing. Haven't done it. Haven't done it. Even in the rebuild years, haven't done it. I don't get it. I don't get how you can defend them on that. Anyone, as a Liverpool fan, unless you're an accountant and you think that this is sexy or something. Other than that, it blows my goddamn mind. Any update on the Liverpool docu-series about Klopp? No. Do you know what, Benjamin? That's a really good question. So, I believed everybody thought Disney was going to buy it, but I don't think it's been bought. I think that could be the problem. I don't know if anybody's actually picked it up yet. Because God, I'd love to watch it. And I'm sure you would as well. But not heard anything to suggest when we could see it. Liverlad said, FSG will be, in my view, based on this number 6 we signed / don't sign. If we get a Zubimendi or somebody like that, I'm fine. If we don't, then I'm out. I'm FSG out. I feel we need Kimmich as well. There's two things for me, my friend, and who was it that said that? Liverlad. There's two positions for me, mate, that are not even negotiable in this window, and that's centre back and defensive midfield. I've always been okay with the forward line. I've always been okay with even a cheaper option coming in there till we see what really is happening with Lucho's future. Whether Mo can agree a contract extension or whether he leaves for free. And with the Gordon stuff in the background as well. I've been always comfortable in that area. But the centre-back role, it's actually laughable. The mental gymnastics some people are trying to go through to say that we have enough cover at defensive or centre-back. We absolutely do not. Nowhere near the level of cover we need to go and win the league title. Or nowhere near the calibre of centre-backs that we need to go and win the league title. And in defensive midfield, Endo's not good enough. He is a good player, an honest player, an admirable player. But the other night, even again, I think we've seen everything about Endo in one game. Some of the line breaking, a lot of the mistakes, and the pace of the game, even in a pre-season game, seemed to pass him by a little bit. So, he's not going to cut it. We can't pin our hopes on Bajcetic for this season. Longer term, maybe we can. But for this season, I don't think it's fair to look to pin the hopes on him. Or, if I'm being really honest about this as well, I don't really see Tyler Morton being that guy in the longer term. So like Liverlad said, it's shit or get off the pot. You pay the money, you get the superstar. You get a Caicedo, you get a Rice, you get a Rodri, you get somebody in that midfield, whether it's a defensive midfield, a central midfielder, but somebody who's going to anchor that midfield and break balls. Or it's not good enough. What else we got? I think Endo was just meant to be a stopgap. Liverpool seem to have forgotten that and keep stalling on buying somebody better because they're cheap and don't want to spend, said Lynn. What else we got? Do I feel Trent will go for free, said Donal. No, I really don't, Donal. I'm not telling you there isn't a chance he might go to Madrid. And I'm not trying to say that Madrid don't want him on a free, because they do. I just don't think Trent would do that to Liverpool. And I think Liverpool will move heaven and earth so that doesn't happen. So I think if you're Trent and Trent's agent, you know you're getting a payday here. You know you're getting a big contract. And I hope that when Trent comes back from his holidays and when he goes back to the AXA training centre and he meets up with the lads and he's back in familiar surroundings and he's back in his day-to-day routine with his teammates driving the same route he takes to training every day, and that familiarity returns, maybe he can see that the grass won't be greener. Because when you're away and you're in LA and you're on holidays and you're out with Bellingham and Mbappe and Tchouameni, and you can see how a lad would have his head turned. But it's Liverpool's job when Trent gets back to convince him that, one, there's a vision, a plan. Two, that captain's armband will be making its way onto his arm at some point, and to make Real Madrid go away. So that's the challenge for Richard Hughes when Trent comes back from his holidays. And I think we'll do it. I think we'll get the deal sorted. But it can't be seen as a win. It can't be sold to us as a huge coup for Liverpool. We're only in this position because of our own stupidity. We're only in this position because somebody foolishly allowed this situation to develop. So you don't get an attaboy for fixing a problem that was entirely of your own creation. So I'm not giving them credit for that. It'll just be me. Should have done it a long time ago. Jason Red's Army, thank you, mate, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. Very kind. Right, so... Oh, this is funny. Connor sent me something earlier on. It's a piece on Kubo. See if you can spot the error in this. There's 2. The beginning of the week was of significance to Liverpool fans amid claims the club were busy finalising a deal to sign Takefusa Kubo from Real Sociedad. No mistake yet. Here it comes. However, David Lynch of the Anfield Agenda has revealed there's absolutely nothing in such claims. So 2 things. 1, as much as we love David and we'll have him on the channel, he's not of us. He's his own independent journalism and independent person. He isn't contracted to us. We work with him. We love him. We enjoy his time. But I wouldn't be describing him as David Lynch of Anfield Agenda. I think he might take some frustration with that. And also, it's not the Anfield Agenda. It's just Anfield Agenda. There's no the in it. But at least we're getting mentioned somewhere. Gary, how are you, mate? I can't be the only person of my age group who, when they see a name, Gary, for anyone, doesn't immediately think of Only Fools and Horses and Gary. The club knew Matip was going last year. A centre-back replacement should have been ready to come in on day 1 of the window. FSG are cheaper than cheap. Gary, you're doing my work for me tonight, mate. More of that, please. Again, like I've said to a couple of people tonight, Gary, no notes, no pushback from me, bro. I agree with every goddamn word you've written there. You're right. Centre-back should have been through the door quick smart, because they're the 2 positions that we are absolutely in dire need of getting sorted, which is midfield, defensively, and centre-back. So yes, there's no excuse. David, thank you again for your super chat. David said, our owners aren't that cheap. Our owners are that cheap, sorry. I'm surprised they haven't asked King Kenny and Rush to put their boots back on. I'm going to do a poll. I'm going to end this poll and do another quick FSG straw poll. So, price for Wataru Endo. 39% of you guys said no sale. In second place was 20 million plus. Then we had 15 million and 17 million. So, most of you guys were on the side. Well, the majority of votes cast were for... that's not even right, Craig. You're still wording that incorrectly. The winner of the poll was no sale. There you go. Because the majority of you, well, you were talking sales, but for different varying numbers. So, no sale wins that one. 1 second. I'm writing this poll out. Right, so this question is a straightforward one. Are FSG cheap with signings? Yes or no? We'll leave that one running in the background. Let's see what the percentages are on this one. So, a couple of accounts are now starting to reacting to the Wataru Endo offer earlier in the window. Anfield Sector have said this makes sense considering they've signed those two players already. So begs the question, why is this story coming out now? Can only think Liverpool are open to selling and wouldn't mind encouraging offers. Maybe we've had positive movement on the number 6 signing also. And then Lewis Steele has said that Liverpool are not actively looking to sell Endo on, especially until they sign a new midfielder if they do. So that means that they are actively looking to sell. Whenever a journalist starts with a club aren't actively looking to sell somebody, that means there's a number. That means that, you know, what isn't said is actually what needs to be said, which is Liverpool are 100% open to it if they get a replacement and the number's right for Endo. That's how I read all of that, whether it be from James Pearce, David Lynch or Lewis Steele there. I think it is, yes, we're absolutely open to an offer. It just needs to be the right one. The Marseille rumours were weeks ago, inquiries of Endo. Yes, we know, mate. We've read all that out. We can read as well. And yes, it was weeks ago. But the real question is, why is it only coming out now then? You know, you're right in saying that Marseille have moved on. They've signed 2 other players. So why are we only hearing about it now? Why is the story only coming out now? There has to be a reason for that. Now, I don't know what that reason is. We can all speculate as to what it is, but there has to be a reason for it. Liverpool 1123 said, I believe Arne Slot told Richard Hughes he's not good enough, as he must have used this bid to generate interest and get him sold, as he doesn't suit Slot's play. What do you think of this? I agree. I don't think he does suit Slot's system. So when Jurgen was playing, the first thing I remember Wataru Endo saying was that he had to learn to play 10 or 15 yards higher up the pitch, even in that defensive role for Liverpool. And remember, Wataru started as a centre-back. Not for Liverpool, but in his career. So went centre-back, DM, and then at Liverpool had to go even further forward again, another 10, 15 yards, because of the high line and the way we play. So yeah, I agree. I don't think if we're going to be a team that wants to smother people in possession, that Endo fits that system well. So I think it's a fair assumption. The poll's interesting. Nearly 600 votes in 3 minutes. And so far, fair to say people think the owners are cheap with regards to transfers. And I was careful to word transfers there because they have built a main stand. They have done the Annie Road end. They have done the AXA training facility. They get all that credit. But, you know, also, they're cheap. What's this? Okay, I've already done that one. Right, loads more notes to go through. So, Pedro Neto, let's talk about him for a minute. If you look at the bookies, Liverpool are 3rd on that list to sign Pedro Neto. Both North London clubs are priced at the most likely to sign Pedro Neto. So, I don't think well, certainly on the money front, on the punters front, it doesn't look like people believe there's an imminent bid for Pedro Neto coming from Liverpool. And look, I can't believe that knowing Michael Edwards as, well, we think we know him, you know, knowing the Michael Edwards that we know, I don't think that he'd look at Pedro Neto's injury record and think that that's one that's going to work out for Liverpool. I would imagine there's not much doubts about the kid's quality. He's a really good footballer. He's Premier League proven, but to carry the couple of injuries as he has that early in his career, significant injuries as well, I don't see any truth in Liverpool going in there. I think Liverpool will remember what happened with with Naby Keita, and we won't want to go through that process again. So I don't really expect anything to materialise there from Pedro Neto. But, you know, we have still been linked with Aït-Nouri from Wolves. One centre-back that I haven't really spoken about because I don't really know much news to talk about is Murillo. I want to get your thoughts on him. The centre-back from Nottingham Forest who was bigging himself up for a transfer move this summer. He'd been linked with a move away. There were comments attributing him saying City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all the type of clubs that he'd consider or something along those lines. What are people's thoughts on Murillo? If he was available and let's say Liverpool paid 60, 70 million quid, I haven't watched enough of him to know if he's anywhere near the level or not. I'm relying on you guys to give me some feedback on that one. Jordan said, who is your realistic dream signing this window? Well, look, if we're talking realistic, I'm going to stick with what I've said all the way through, mate, and say Nico Williams. But the one I want, the one that would make me the most happy is Ederson. You know, I feel like it ticks every box that FSG and Michael Edwards want ticked. With regards, look, I don't know the metrics. I don't know the underlying numbers, obviously, of his performances, but I do know he's in the right age bracket. I know he's got enough experience, which is something that's important to Liverpool. I know that price-wise, it wouldn't be anywhere near the levels of a Rice or a Caicedo. You're talking less than 50 million for Ederson. He is on the fringes of establishing himself in the Brazilian midfield national team-wise moving forward as well. It just is the one for me. You know, when we played against him, he really impressed me. I thought he ran the show as well. Well, look, Ademola Lookman ran the show in the Europa League final, but at the other end of the pitch, or defensively, I thought Ederson looked exquisite. And I think he's brilliant. So I'd like him. What happened to the Andre interest? Well, I think what got Liverpool fans a little bit worked up again on that was, I don't want to call it a lie, because I think it was a genuine mistake, but a Liverpool media personality put out a piece that said that Liverpool went back in January for him, and it was misquoted. What had actually said was that he was looked at again by somebody else, and they put that out as Liverpool looking, and Liverpool have made an offer for the guy in January. It wasn't the case. So since we moved away from that deal before the Club World Cup, I don't know of anything else from Liverpool and Andre Trinidad. Again, another player has always been available since that moment, since he didn't win the Club World Cup with Fluminense, wanted to finish the season, wanted to go and play in that, didn't win it. You know, Fulham look very likely after the João Palhinha deal, but as of yet, nothing new on Liverpool. Craig, who's going to have a breakout this season, said Jack. It's a good question, Jack. So difficult. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm tempted to say the obvious things like Trey Leone, Doak, but I don't know if Doak goes on loan, so that could negate that. Bradley is already there for me. I don't think I'd ever get to the level of thinking Tyler Morton can realistically make it at Liverpool long term. I think he's a good young footballer who will have a good career. I just don't see it being at Liverpool. So who would have the breakout season? Szoboszlai. I'm going to go with Dom. I know he's not a young player, and I don't know if that was the aim of your question, but I think we're going to see the best version of Dominic Szoboszlai this season. I think we're going to see good numbers from him, goals and assists, and just a better version of him than we've seen for the latter half of last season. I think system-wise, Arne Slot will build something to make sure he's in there, and it was already reported he's starting to play in the right in training as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Dominic Szoboszlai. David, thank you again, mate, for your really kind super chat. So, Craig, do you think all the building work must be the money from the TV rights from Sky Sports and the money from the Champions League victory? So, are you talking about the building work of the new main stand and any road end? Think of it like this. FSG loan the money to Liverpool Football Club to do the work. To the best of my understanding, and if there's an accountant in the chat here, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's an interest-free loan, but there's always a level of interest built into any of these loans to cover the cost of inflation. So let's say it's the loan fee plus 3%. They would have had that money in their own reserves, and they know that it's a double win for them. So once the stand is built, they get the money in for the corporate hospitality seats, the extra bums on seats, and the value of the club, of course, goes up because the asset has been improved. So it's a win-win. Matchday turnover increases, and over the cost of time, that negates the cost of the build. And then, of course, you've got the just increased capacity in the stadium in general, putting the value of the asset up. Yes, we've seen a huge increase in the likes of TV deals, particularly overseas Premier League TV money. It's just a sensible thing to do. You know, I always try to look at it like this, mate. If me and you bought a house and we're in the building game and we bought a house that we knew we could turn around. You know, you looked at it and it's on a good street and you're thinking, this is the worst house on the best street in Liverpool. So we decide we go in, we buy that worst house, we go on, we stick Velux windows in, we extend the kitchen out the back, we do up the garden and we modernise the inside and throw some new wiring into it and we make it look really pretty and we sell it. And we sell it as a turnkey property that somebody can just walk in to put their furniture in and start living. That's the way I look at them and this with the football club. They look at Anfield and know if they do the right things, the sensible things, that asset value is going to increase. And I think of it that way. So that's where the money comes from for that. And then it will be repaid by season ticket holders, match day attendees, and of course the increased drinks through like hot dogs, burgers, all that crap that goes through the tills. Will we see red nets back at Anfield? I have to say, I don't like them. I think if I'm right, Brendan Rodgers brought them back in when he was here. I'm trying to work off memory. But I've never liked them, mate. I've never been a fan of the red nets personally. Yeah, I like the white ones. But I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the chat thinks. I just don't like them. Atalanta interested in Morton swap for Ederson plus cash? No idea, Charlie. I know there are a couple of clubs that are interested in Sepp Vandenberg, and there are certainly clubs that are interested in loaning Morton. Liverpool do have a valuation on him of about 20 million quid, but Andre likes the red nets. Mo wants white nets. Red nets for pro. I find it very hard to follow the game properly when there's red nets. I don't know. It's a sensory thing for me or something. And I'm a traditionalist in that regard. So, but look, I don't really care as long as the reds on the pitch are good. Whether the net's white or red, I'm kind of easy on it. Has he talked about us rejecting a bid for Endo? Yes, Jack, we covered it, mate. What we're a bit confused about, though, Jack, is why the delay in the reporting of the bid. So, Marseille have since signed players. So, we're now hearing of this bid being rejected weeks ago. It can only point to the direction that Liverpool are open or willing to get some money for Endo. And we think that's probably it. It's just, again, trying to see what's out there in the market, if there's buyers. Sorry. Okay, Mark just sent me something there. What's this? So, Atalanta are interested in Tyler Morton. Well, that's a gimme. Jesus. Come on, lads. That's a gimme. Lewis Steele's reported there as well. I mean, what else do you want, lads? The club that the player we should be signing in is also interested in one of our young lads. Oh, I mean, for the love of God. If we don't... Oh, I'm getting angrier by the second just thinking about it. That's mental. If they want Tyler Morton and they have Ederson, get that deal done. God almighty, offer, I don't know, 27 million plus 3 million in add-ons or something. It seems like a no-brainer. Surely to God, if there's any truth to that, they have to go and make a bid for Ederson or try to get it included. Podrick said, opinions on Moukoko from Dortmund. I do have a little piece on him actually, mate, that I had in my notes to bring up. Bear with me one moment while I find it for you. So, Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about the young player, Youssoufa Moukoko, and he is going to be leaving Dortmund this summer. At least he's certainly available this summer. 19 years of age, only started 4 games last season in the Bundesliga for Dortmund. And Fabrizio Romano thinks that they're making a bit of a mistake. This is what he had to say. I'd say Dortmund is making a mistake in giving Youssoufa away. With so little playing time, everybody will know that his market value will be low and Dortmund can't expect much. We wanted it to be different, but that's the football business. It's totally clear in his mind, extremely focused. He knows what he wants to drive his career forward. Now, sounding out interest from England, Spain and France. That was the agent speaking to Fabrizio Romano, that was the agent of Moukoko speaking to Romano, said that they want to move. And he's not getting enough game time. And he's already touting for a low price. So this is a player that we were linked with in 2022 when he was 17. Now he's 19. I could see this one being a plausible one for the right price because you've got Moukoko, then you've got Darwin, you've got Dan's, of course, coming through as well. I mean, that could be your centre forward sorted for the next 6, 7, 8 years, you know, and no pathway blocked. If Darwin doesn't work out, well, then you've got 2 young lads ready to come through. If Darwin does work out, then we've got increased competition. It certainly makes a lot more sense to me than the Gyökeres stuff that I'm going to speak about in a moment. So, one report said, Liverpool have entered the race to sign Sporting Lisbon striker Victor Gyökeres, but his £86 million release clause is likely to prove prohibitive. So every other report that I've read on Gyökeres said that Sporting Lisbon don't actually expect to realise the release clause, which is £86 million, that they're open to negotiating for a lower fee. But it still doesn't make sense to me that Liverpool will go out there and drop 60 million quid on a forward when we have glaring needs in other areas of the pitch. It would be really strange. But we've seen other clubs do it before. I mean, I've seen clubs like United sign players in every position until recently than the ones that they needed. So yeah. You know what else I'm looking forward to figuring out? What's going to happen with Enzo Fernandez in Chelsea? Because it won't be just swept under the carpet. It can't be. You've already got Chelsea players who are unhappy, and it's going to come to a head when he comes back for training or when they all get together. And that's before we even talk about, you know, if the Premier League or FIFA do anything about it. It's a massive, massive problem for that Chelsea camp that they need to sort out. Craig, why do you want Nico Williams when we already have 2 left wingers? Here's... So, you know where a player plays for one club, he's allowed to play in another position. I really get wound up saying this over and over again. We signed Cody Gakpo and he'd never played anywhere near the left side at Liverpool when we started playing. He was playing through the centre. Now he's back out on the left. We signed Sadio Mane. He was our right winger until we signed Mohamed Salah, and then he became our left winger, and a very, very good left winger at that. So the reason I want Nico Williams is because there's no rule in football that said somebody's only allowed to play in one position. And a talented young winger, attacker, can play right across the front line, in my opinion. And We don't all have to have fascinations with inverted wingers. They don't have to be inverted. You can still play on the right side and be effective and use your right foot and go around and take players on. That's why. Padraig Quinn said, if I were Maresca, I'd get him gone. Half the players are black and a handful of them are French and black. Regardless of anything else about the makeup of Chelsea's squad or not, I've already been pissed off by Maresca's nonsense around this. I've said this to you guys many times. We've all been lectured to within an inch of our lives about respect, about racism, Islamophobia, homophobia, inclusiveness, equality, misogyny, all valid topics that all deserve to be highlighted and all deserve to be respected and all deserve to be spoken about openly and criticise and critique when people act incorrectly. But it can't just be for us. It can't just be for the fans. If you're going to hold season ticket holders or online fans accountable for their actions and their racism, and you're going to prosecute, because remember, we've seen people prosecuted, and rightly so, for racism and for tragedy chanting and all this other stuff. So if we have fans being held to one standard, surely if you want to set an example and show that football really is about removing hate and vitriol and disgusting comments from the game, you got to act accordingly, and you got to put your big boy pants on and show the world that you don't just have morals until it affects your bank balance and then the excuses get made. So yeah, for me, it's an open and shut case. This idiot didn't retweet something he didn't understand or was lost in translation. This dozy Omadon decided to broadcast live to the world on social media his racism singing, his racist chanting, his racist singing in his own language with clearly offensive words in it about the origin of some of the French team. He did that willingly, openly and proudly. So fuck his apology. It's nonsense. And also Maresca the same. He needs to be banned. And I don't care, because I'm fed up of being lectured by Sky and everybody else. If you want to lecture us, then hold the rest of the people to the same standards, or shut the fuck up. Have I seen Liverpool's new inside training? I haven't yet. No, I haven't yet. It was a late one last night. It was a late one. By the way, I didn't get a chance to watch the UFC card because I was actually, believe it or not, working on stuff at the time, even in bed, so I didn't watch it. But congratulations to Paddy Pimblett. I'd seen that he won with a choke, if I'm not mistaken. First round as well. Well done, Paddy. Hopefully big fights in the future on the way for Mr. Paddy Pimblett. Congratulations, sir. Molly McCann unfortunately lost. Commiserations to Molly, but look, it's the fight game that happens. Leon Edwards losing his world title. Was it a shock? I don't know enough about the UFC to know that, but by all accounts, he lost it to the better man on the night. And then obviously we'd seen Tom Aspinall with a first round knockout as well, which is really impressive stuff from him. So if you watched that last night, I think you got your money's worth with a good card. And it was so weird seeing it on in Manchester, right, going all the way until 6 a.m, knowing it's in Manchester. Craig, think about this. Imagine if Enzo doesn't get banned, but Nunes does. And look, it's very, very different situations, to be fair. I'm not for 1 second saying that there isn't a case to be answered for Uruguay and Darwin. But it's a very different set of circumstances. Which, of course, for me, one of them needs an investigation. And one of them is open and shut. So the Darwin situation, and it's not just Darwin, by the way. There were more players involved. That needs an investigation, of course. But the Enzo one, it's open and shut. Trevor said, Craig, watch the video with Liverpool fan in Japan. Was brilliant. Will you be doing more? He seemed very clued in as well. Really intelligent guy. And I hope so. Yeah, I think so. I think there's every opportunity we'll do some more stuff together. I had a great time talking with Sai, and definitely say, if you haven't checked out his channel, I think you'll like him, guys. So do go and check him out. Liverpool fan in Japan. And we're going to have him on here for a video as well. I like to always repay that favour if somebody invites me on. Unlike some other channels, whose name I won't mention. And that's before we get into the dodgy numbers. But apart from that, I'm not going to say that. And yeah, he's a lovely guy. Really, really lovely guy. And you were right, he's very clued in, especially when it comes to the analytical side of things. I was really impressed by Sai. Yeah, well done to him. Good content, great fella. And I love the energy he brings as well. What else we got? There's no place for discrimination or racism in the chat. 100% there isn't. Absolutely. We can discuss these things like adults, but respect is number one on the channel. So, yes, I back Lauren on that. There is no place for any discrimination or anything like it. You know, we're here to talk footy, and sometimes, unfortunately, these things overlap and we have to discuss some sensitive subjects, but we should always try to do so from a respectful standpoint. Unless we're talking about FSG being cheap, in which case 89% of us think that way. So we've had 1,300 votes, and 89% of people said that when it comes to transfers, FSG are indeed cheap. I think that gives us a good sample size. You know, I've run this poll a lot over the course of the summer, and it's varied. Sometimes it was closer to 20% thinking that they weren't. 81% I think last time said they were. Now people are getting a bit more frustrated, and I think it's starting to become palpable now that people are feeling a little bit more anxious about the transfers and the lack of movement here, because a month ago, less like 2 weeks, was it now? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks until the season gets underway. Less than 3 weeks actually until the season's underway. 2 weeks and 6 days till Liverpool go to Portman Road to take on Ipswich, and we haven't made a single signing. And it can't be used as an excuse that it's a slow window or a slow market, because 19 other clubs in our division made signings. We are the only Premier League club that has not made an incoming signing. That's sad, angering, frustrating. Yeah, and look, I can't lie to you. Every goddamn day I'm getting up and I'm feeling more and more angry about it, because I don't want to be right in this case. Usually I love an I told you so, but I don't want to be right about the owners. I want to put my hands up and say, wow, John did it. He sanctioned the move for a top-notch centre-back and a top-notch midfielder, and Arna's going to have a team that can go and challenge. Let's do it. Let's roll. And you know what makes me even more angry about it all? I think most people can see that Manchester City will probably not be the same beast that they have been. That's before we get into the conversation about the charges and the impact that might have on their season. De Bruyne is aging and picking up injuries. Some of their players want to move on. I think there's a chance for somebody to grasp it and win the league. And the only club that look like they want to do that at the minute are Arsenal. It isn't us. We're standing still, and Arsenal are already strengthening. Calafiori coming in to what is already the best defence in the Premier League. And then they're looking at a striker. You know, I think it's perfectly natural that I feel, and you probably feel, anxious about this. Even look at United. At the moment, there's a gap between us and United. You know, we had one off year, they finished above us, but most of the time in recent history we finished above United. At least they've shown some desire to get back up where they want to be. You know, they've been a little bit unfortunate now. It looks like obviously Yoro could have picked up a knock already, but they've got him in, and they're looking to bring in a right back, and they brought in a forward as well, of course. I don't get it. Do I think Chiesa still has a chance to come into Anfield? Yes, of course. Until he signs elsewhere, there's every chance. Spurs are the club strongest linked to him at the moment from the Prem that I've seen. And I've never tried to even sell the idea of Chiesa as a game changer, but it would be a good addition, a good option to have in case Mo's tired or in case we want to mix up the front line a little bit. It gives us another option for a relatively low fee. He's 25. Yes, he's had some serious injuries, but he's got 1 year to go on his Juventus deal, and the price is very, very tempting at about £20 million. If you can get him for a decent wage, I think somebody's going to get themselves a good option up top. And for us, I think that's what we need right now is an option. When Mo moves, whether that's next summer or whenever, then yes, of course, we need a big signing to come in there. But right now, most of us feel it's the defensive side of things we need help with, whether it's from midfield or across the back line itself. Boxer AB40 said, Craig, you're just reflecting most supporters' growing frustration. I've got loads of messages of support, emails, DMs on our Instagram and other stuff from people who said exactly that. Craig, I'm Scouser born and bred, and you're sincere and you're speaking how most of us are feeling. Craig, I grew up in England but I've moved to Australia. You're speaking how many of us are feeling, and that really is so helpful because it's not the right phraseology, Craig. It's really difficult to constantly be belittled or vilified or painted a picture of a troublemaker or toxic personality. I am not a toxic human being by any stretch, but I don't take bullshit. And I don't like somebody pissing in my tent and telling me it's raining. We all can see what we need. And no matter how many journalists or content creators toe the company line, people aren't stupid. We need signings. Liverpool fans grew up on success. Whether you're growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or even the Jurgen Klopp era, nothing beats seeing your club lift trophies. Nothing. There is no prize for getting into the Champions League. We used to mock Arsenal fans about that. That Wenger's ambition at the latter part was just get that Champions League football, get the money into the club. I want to win. And there's nothing more frustrating in life than being this close to something and then falling away or slowing down and that's what I feel our owners have done. They've got us to the promised land. They've given us a little taste. And then they faltered. They've stepped back. They've took their foot off the gas. And there's been one excuse after another. One window after another. One false dawn after another. One generational talent after another. One lie after another. And we're sick of it. I didn't grow up wanting to support an accountant. I didn't grow up with Liverpool thinking, God, I don't even want to know the owners' fucking names. They are so irrelevant to the football club that I shouldn't even know who these people are. They should be just some fucker on the other side of the world that owns the club that we don't even have to talk about. But the fact that in this day and age, we have to basically jump up and down and scream to try to make our owners be what they profess to be, which is a group that wants to win. Their own phrase is one that I'm going to continue to hound and I'm going to continue to poke and probe them with until they actually start doing what they say, which is the under promise and over deliver. That is FSG's phrase. Not mine, not yours, theirs. Under promise, over deliver. Neither of those things are being done. Craig, we need a centre-back, a left-back, a DM, a right wing and a striker. Wow. So, disagree on the striker. I don't think we need a striker. I think between Jota, Darwin, the ability for Mo or somebody else to play central and Jayden Dan's coming through, Respectfully, I would disagree on that. A right winger, yes, longer term, but you know what we reported earlier on from Lewis Steele looking at Liverpool training was that at the minute anyway, Szoboszlai is being looked at in a wide position or a right wing position. DM, absolutely agree with you with. Left back's an interesting one because I feel like we're at a place of do you know what when I say purgatory, do you know what I mean? Or how else could I? We're in the waiting room. That's the best way to say it. We're in the waiting room in that regard because we've got Luke Chambers and Owen Beck, who are two good talents who might not be there yet, but have every chance to make it to the first team and be good left-sided players for us. We've got Andy Robertson, who's at the tail end of his career, and then we've got Costas, who is right in the prime of it, but with all due respect to Costas, not of the level required to win for me if we needed to use him for a season or for a good chunk of a season. So I always struggle on the left side, but I wouldn't say no to White-Nuri. Centre back, 100% Copster. Agree with you on that, mate. No argument whatsoever. In fact, you could nearly make an argument for two. Another super chat coming in. Thank you so much, David. Said, I understand how we're all feeling with the transfer market with a month to go, but I don't want panic buys. Has there ever been a panic buy under FSG? I'm trying to think through, because of all the things I've labelled at them, usually when it comes time to panic, their option is spend as little money as possible rather than overspend and panic buy. We've had some panic loan signings, absolutely. You know, Arthur Mello, Ozan Kabak, Davies, they're absolutes, but I guess they're not really signings, are they? They're loans. So we're not overly committing 50, 60, 70 million quid there. Yeah, I can't think of one. Gravenberg, panic buy. I don't think he was. I think that was one of those, for me anyway, I'd put that in the opportunistic bunch, Gerald. Endo, again, the timing of it, I don't think it was panic. I think it was just a solution for the time to kick the can down the road a little bit. But again, it was a cheaper one, of course. It's always the cheaper one. So we ran a poll the other night. Somebody said, I think Napupu said, I think Caicedo was a panic buy. We ran a poll the other night, and 2/3 of our audience felt that was a PR exercise from FSG, that they didn't even want to buy Caicedo. As bad as I think they are, I said it on the night and I'll say it again, I don't think that was an insincere offer. It looked really bad on us, and I think Brighton should have played hardball. You know, they agreed to the process. It was sealed bids. We won that bid. You know, it should have been hardball with Caicedo or you're staying put. But I honestly think that they would have spent the money in that regard. A loan signing is still a signing. It is, but a 2 million quid panic is a lot more palatable than a 50 million quid panic, Carl, with all due respect. So what I'm talking about is people are coming at the end of the window, or at least how I took the question, mate, when somebody talked about the panic buys, was overspending late in the window just to fill a gap. And we haven't done that to the best of my knowledge. Bashir said, Craig, at right wing, if Mo does leave, I think the club should go for Mbeumo. You know, I'm going to put a poll on Mbeumo because somebody mentioned him the other night, and he's a name that I could see an argument for, and I'm going to be really honest here. You know the way I've said to some of you guys that you don't see Gordon as a sexy signing? I don't see Brian Mbeumo as a sexy signing, but I can see the arguments. I can see the case for. So let's see on Mbeumo. I haven't put a price in because I don't know. But I just thought I'd ask the question. Mbeumo at Liverpool, yes or no? And we'll let you guys go from there. 1 sec. We should try get Lamine Yamal. Yeah, have you got £1 billion handy? Because remember, they've already rebuffed the advances of Paris Saint-Germain, who were willing to... Sorry, where's that gone up soon? There we go. Yeah, we've already seen 250 million quid turned down. So I don't think we're going to be at that table. Nor will Barcelona ever consider selling him. They have their new Messi pretty much there. Gertrude, an interesting one, Colin. I have some Gertrude stuff on my notes, mate. Bear with me 1 sec. I'll get that up for you. There he is. Right, so... Caught Offside reported that Manchester United have joined the race to sign Gertrude, the 24-year-old, is on their list of right-back targets. Obviously, Liverpool have been loosely linked to signing Gertrude. But look, again, I would argue, if we needed or were thinking about Gertrude, there'd be no thinking needed to be done here. It would be a case of Arne Slot going, him, I want him. He's the guy. He knows my system. He's versatile. Him. And I think it would have been quick. And it would have been done by now. So Gertrude still hasn't moved, you're right. But I can't see if we wanted him why it would take us so long. Are we selling Gravenberch? Brian, I tried to find out the answer to that question today. And I can't get a definitive answer on it. You've probably seen the same as me, my man. Galatasaray in London, by the looks of it, interested in signing him. I hope we don't sell him, because I think we'll get a lot more out of him, but I don't know is the real answer for me. Red Bull Leipzig want Morton just came out. On top of the Atalanta one, Jack, because we had the comments on Atalanta. Where was it? Lewis Steele said Atalanta are interested in signing Tyler Morton. So if you can put in Leipzig to that list, I can see that. I can understand that. I don't know. I really want Tyler Morton to make it, but I don't know. I just feel like trying to think of him being the same age roughly as Caicedo and think of the levels, I don't see it. But I do see him being able to go and play at a Southampton, a Leeds, Fulham, somebody like that. I just don't know if he's going to make it at Liverpool. And I genuinely feel really shitty whenever I say that, because I want it to happen, but I just don't see it personally. David Massett said, I want to try Gravenberch in the number 6 role. I think he could do it. I'm not saying he could do it as the best in the world, but I do think you give him a year at the position, a year training in the position, I think Gravenberch could be a 6. Absolutely. He has the physical attributes anyway. Okay, so just to confirm what our friend said a moment ago about Leipzig, thank you, sir, for letting me know. Mark's now brought it to my attention. It said RB Leipzig, Atalanta and some Premier League clubs are interested in Tyler Morton. So well played, sir. Who was that a minute ago? Let me just give you your credit. Jack 109. Thank you, Jack. Spot on, mate. Appreciate that. Any players we would want from Red Bull? Well, a few people would say Dani Olmo. Maybe their forward. What's his name? The guy that used to play in France and in Spain. What's his name? Somebody help me out here. No, not that guy. Yeah, that's it. Lewis Openda. That's the one, Morganski. That's who I was trying to think of there. Openda, perhaps. Leipzig usually have a good, or Red Bull clubs, the brand of Red Bull clubs, they usually do have a great production line of talent. Sesko is going to stay one more season by the looks of it at Red Bull before he departs. Arsenal tried to get him in. It does look like Sesko, he looks like the real deal, by the way. He does. He really, 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 really does. And I'd love Liverpool to be in that conversation because Benjamin Sesko looks legit. And we've a great relationship. Obviously, even better one now that we've Pep Linders in as the new Salzburg head coach. So we certainly have a very, very good relationship with the Red Bull brand of clubs. And, you know, Sesko I'd love. Openda is an interesting one. And there's a few other names as well. Craig, love your show. Question. The 3 signings you want Liverpool to make. Right. I'm going to try my best to give them to you right. Here we go. Easy one in central midfield. Ederson from Atalanta. Defensively, I'd still like Mark Gay, but I don't think it's a likely option. Diamande doesn't really make sense considering we're looking for somebody to play left side and he plays right side historically at Sporting Lisbon of a back 3. Inacio, I'm unsure. Antonio Silva is my go-to first choice, but I can't see us spending that money. Bremer, we spoke about earlier on, Gleison Bremer, we've been linked to again in the Italian media with a 50 million valuation from Juventus on him. And then up top, I mean, dream signing, Nico Williams, acceptable signing, Anthony Gordon. I think Kvaratskhelia is nailed on now to stay at Napoli. I think Antonio Conte's put his foot down there. So yeah, probably give me 3 names. And Antonio Silva, Ederson, and I want Nico Williams, but I'd happily take Anthony Gordon. Andrew says, wait, because he signed the Real Madrid shirt, rumours again. Are we talking about Trent? No, the only rumours I've really seen today about Trent was Robbie Fowler in his column in the Mirror saying that he hasn't seen anything to suggest that Trent would want away. So, yeah, I've nothing new today. We'd seen Trent with Bellingham and over in LA on holidays, but other than that, I don't really think there's anything new to be concerned about. Williams just said yesterday about, again, the question was what signings would I want? I agree with you, by the way. I think I've always said this past month that if he doesn't get the move to Barcelona, I think he does stay at Bilbao. I think it's Bilbao or Barcelona, or he stays in the Spanish league. I think you're right on that, but I'd still love him. Pharrell said, Craig, if this window passes without any signings, what are your expectations for the season? Anger. More anger. Unhealthy anger. A little bit of anger. But on the pitch, somewhere between 3rd and 6th. Quarter-final stage at best of a Champions League, and who knows with the domestic cups, depends on the draws you get. But I wouldn't be sitting here talking about title contenders. I think we'd have to measure our expectations accordingly. Like, I'm not trying to say we've got a bad squad. We have a very good squad, and certainly a lot of good promising players that might be 2-3 years away. Some players who just need to stay injury free and would still be somewhat competitive. I just don't really think we'd be talking about ourselves as title contenders with a straight face without at least 2 signings. I'm happy to go into this season with a centre midfielder and a centre back added. Anything else is just gravy at this point. They're the 2 positions that for me are non-negotiable. if we don't sign Gordon, who else do I think's a realistic option for attack? I mean, you could look at the likes of Bakayoko from Eindhoven. Crescencio Somerville, I think that's dead in the water from our side. There's even some talk now that he could end up staying at Leeds because there seems to be a lack of offers at the numbers Leeds want. Who else could we look at? You could revisit in a year's time, maybe the Kvaratskhelia situation. Can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head. We asked about Mbeumo actually. Let's have a look at this one. We said Mbeumo for Liverpool, yes or no. 500 votes cast so far, and it is 58% of you guys said no to Bryan Mbeumo, with 42% saying yes. Now look, I'm going to head off in a second, but before I do, just a reminder. Delighted to announce that David Lynch will be joining us on stage at the Liverpool show at the Hot Water Comedy Club, as well as comedian Carl Porter. Carl's going to be doing a stand-up set, and David Lynch is going to be part of our question and answers panel, where you guys will get to ask us or David a question about whatever topic you would like, whether it be the owners, the transfer window, the tactics under Arne Slot, or just his opinion of Liverpool in general. David is going to be there on the night. Tickets are still available, but honestly, even at the bigger arena, they're selling quick. So if you want to come along, link at the top of the chat and in the description. We're going to be in Cardiff 2 days beforehand at the Richard Burton Theatre. Myself, you'll get to meet Ben, you'll get to meet Chris Stonage there, Connor will be there, and we're going to put on a good night there for you guys as well. We're a week away. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, last chance to get them. And I think that's pretty much it from me. I'm going to record a new podcast episode tomorrow as well. That'll come out on Tuesday, so don't forget to check out the Anfield Agenda podcast. And yeah, just thank you again to everybody for coming in and joining me tonight. I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. And yeah, much love. Appreciate all of your support, guys. And hopefully we've got some more good stuff to talk about tomorrow. Appreciate your support. Do drop a like for me before you head off. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And I will catch you